Thanks for joining Scene Squad. I'm your host, political and cultural critic Sharron with two R's, and I'm joined today with my co-host and historian and financial guru, Rosalie, and you're listening to Seen and Heard podcast. Thanks for joining Seen and Heard podcast, where everyone should be seen and heard. Don't forget to thumbs up the video, share, like, comment. If you would like to support our content, click all the links in the description, and we will appreciate it. And optical optical factor here, glasses. There'll be the links in the comment for the comment section is for these glasses if you like. They also have other glasses, sunglasses, and glasses for children as well. So there's something for everyone, and you get 10% off if you use the discount code tragedy and TRGDYANN7_7. So use that code and you'll get 10% off. So we have had a full week and we are still having news breaking every second. They are flooding the zone, like they said. So let's start off with wait, is this it? Let me see. Let me make sure. Nope, that's not it. Here we go. The Catholics got a new pope. So the new pope is from Chicago. And he is of Black ancestry, which, we don't know all the details, but from what's coming out, he's like Haitian, Creole from the New Orleans area, or his family's from the 7th Ward Creoles in New Orleans. So, and he's American, an American pope. So, not what I was expecting. I was rooting for the Philippine pope, but I'm not Catholic, so I have no say in any of this. So, what are your thoughts,
I think
Rosa?
it'll be interesting to see the dynamic between, because in essence, this Pope, the amount of influence that he has makes him one of the most powerful Americans on earth now. Right up in religious wise is the head of a church, in the same way that Donald Trump is the head of the United States. It'll be interesting. There have been some past retweets and stuff of this Pope of things that are critical of things that the president and the administration, Republicans and things have done. However, they have shown some information that he is against abortion, so he does align with the administration on some items, which is not shocking. But it does seem we'll have to see how it unfolds. I agree with you. I'm not Catholic, but I am willing to acknowledge the amount of influence that this man will have on billions and billions of people.
So, reserving judgment and hoping for the best.
Right.
With which we need all of the luck that we could get these days. Today was a very somber day for our due process. I'm going to start off with this video and we are going to talk on the other side. So the mayor of New Jersey got arrested a few hours ago. So let's talk on the other side of this clip.
ICE is out of control. ICE thinks it can intimidate all of us, and it cannot intimidate any of us. And we, the people, will make sure that this administration adheres to the rules that separate us from dictatorships in other third world countries. And I've spoken much too long. Let me turn this over to LaMonica.
Yeah. So the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, Ras Baraka, was arrested. Some of the videos that I've been seeing today was that he had arranged to have a press conference at this location, and because of the press conference, he was arrested for apparently getting in the way of their ability to do their job, even though this was something that they had planned ahead of time. And then a statement from DHS says that the Democrats stormed the gate and broke into the detention facility. Now, as far as the video evidence that I've seen of, like, as people were kind of shoving and pushing and everything around, I don't see the mayor shoving his way into anything so much as just trying to maintain safety within the crowd. And it doesn't make much of a difference, frankly.
And the video I saw, there was no pushing or anything except for people that had those 3-letter agency jackets. I'm going to play one more clip and we'll talk. This was another after the fact of the after the arrest, and we'll talk on the other side of this.
Okay.
They feel no weight of the law. They feel no restraint on what they should be doing. And that was shown in broad daylight today when they not just arrested the mayor of Newark, but when they put their hands on 2 members of Congress who are standing behind me. How is this acceptable to anyone in this country? How is this acceptable?
I mean, it's scary because on top of that, Ghoul, Crypt Keeper. Well, let's just watch this one, and then we'll talk. This is the last one, but let's talk after we see this.
That happens, you think?
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day,
That happens, you think?
well, the Constitution.
Whether the courts do the right thing or not.
I can curse on this, right?
Yeah, because I'm thinking, according to whose, law.
He looks like a human fucking thumb. I can't. The thing is doing the right thing according to who? And the answer is them, right? It doesn't. If you're arresting mayors and judges and deporting people and saying that it's. He might as well at this point just say we're attempting to completely eradicate the Second Amendment. But the thing is they won't touch the ones that make certain people angry until it touches enough of those people, and then it'll be too late. And I think that that's the part where they're doing this in a stepwise fashion, so it doesn't feel like it's all falling apart at once, because it falls apart in stages. Before you realize it, things have just escalated. And it's like when people like slowly gain weight over time or lose weight over time and they don't realize until they look at the before and the after photo. Sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, wow, like this actually, the incremental change is ridiculously large when you take a step back and look at it. And where we've come in the first 100 days and 100 plus days of the presidency, you can kind of see they're going to push us as far as people allow them to push us. I think it's important that Democrats put themselves, especially Democratic politicians, put themselves in the place to be arrested. They need to get arrested to show that this is not that I want them to stay in custody. I'm not saying that they, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, lock them all up. It's they need to be willing to stand on those front lines and stop making it only Black and brown bodies that are out there. So it's important that we did have a white man out there. It's important that we had a white man go down to El Salvador. It's important that they're kind of putting themselves in these places. But you notice the people that they're still arresting are people of color, Black people. They're not arresting white mayors who are showing up at these types of events. Now, I know that there was, and it'll be a quick aside, but I know that, as a small win in this case, the governor of Maine has stood up against Trump repeatedly. And he said, we'll pull funding if you don't want to listen to what we're saying to you. And she said, I'll see you in court. And she beat him in court. And so I think it's important that they obstruct. I think it's important that they're there to bear witness. I think it's important that they're willing to put their bodies on the line if they expect all of us to just be okay with our bodies being on the line, because at the end of the day, your party helped enable this party to get to where it is today with no real fight back until it was too late.
And those people that's their base with those Second Amendment toys, they are being deputized. A lot of them are being deputized to involve themselves in these ICE pickups, because like in Nashville, I've been seeing the news for the past few days in Nashville. They're not going into the homes because Tennessee has like a castle law, which I don't, they have the castle law. So they're stopping them in public at these, at the intersections, at lights, or outside of businesses or places, but a lot of these people that are acting on behalf of ICE have been deputized. They're just civilians that have been deputized, and they have pew-pews.
Yeah. And that's the modern, not modern, it's just the revamped version of the SS, or, the KKK in this country never went away. It just went underground.
Mm-hmm. And it joined politics, and they're in the doctor's offices, and
and now apparently they're raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's going to be interesting. The conversations that I keep having with people and especially people who are still kind of arguing for this right-wing side of things, that I never seem to get any response from is, you and I both know that this is not going to age well for you.
Mm-hmm.
So good luck out there. And every single time I say that, they don't respond, because they know. Deep down, they know. The one piece of solace that I can find in all of this is that there is not going to be the anonymity of everybody's got a recording device. Mm-hmm. Everybody's paying attention. Everybody can screenshot what you posted on Facebook. People are putting their names and things in writing that they would have never, ever done in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, the whole history of this country. Now, the very beginning of it, when it was just understood that mm-hmm. this was a racist nation that was going to commit a genocide, because they were okay with it back mm-hmm. then, they're being just as flagrant now as they were back then, because they've forgotten that time will heal this wound. And it's not going to be popular forever. And it's going to be interesting.
They hate being called out. They hate being called out, and they hate being told no.
That part. Consent is never part of the plan.
Mm-hmm. So on that, what was it that you were with the Gaza? Because earlier someone sent me a video of supposedly Trump and Netanyahu on the rocks, which that never pans out. But what's the news that you have on that side of the world?
So what we have right now going on is what sounds like Trump is trying to make negotiations with other countries in the Middle East. He needs the backing of Arab nations like Saudi Arabia, UAE, these kinds of countries, because he's alienated himself from virtually every country on earth that has anything to do with any type of propriety whatsoever, even if it's Western propriety, which is still trash. But even the allies that, have some of a soul left, they're pretty much pushing away. But the Arab nations are pushing back on Trump and saying, if this war in Gaza is still going on, we've got to contend with our own people too. Mm-hmm. This can't continue. We can't normalize these relations with it. And they're reporting that when Trump went to the Middle East, he didn't stop in Israel. And I've read I read one article from the Jerusalem Post from today that's kind of hinting at that having some negative connotations, has some negative, meaning for him not just stopping off and wanting to do that, but of course the White House is putting out the statement, I've always been a friend of Israel. We will always maintain our relationship with Israel, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you've got both of these men would like to see Gaza wiped. And currently we're seeing a ground invasion and the forced starvation of Gaza all over again. Israel's claiming they want to occupy the whole area. What I think is happening is that Donald Trump has found himself between a rock and a hard place when it comes to the support of Israel versus getting the support of other Arab nations, which he now needs because of what he's done isolating himself from the rest of the world. And so he has to walk a fine line. And also having two obvious narcissists in control of two different governments, somebody's going to try and be number one. Somebody's going to have to fight to be number one. Give me just a second. I need to pull her off camera. I can't have her on here.
You're fine. And we'll be right back after this short break.
Okay, let's go.
And we're back.
I needed to get her out of frame. I don't need my kid.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But yeah.
So what do you think of that guy in Texas, a politician? I don't know his name right off, but he tried to make a blanket law where no one could speak out, or was it was Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott, there was a town that was complaining about Israel and all of their money going there. And they were like, look, we need health care. We need our roads fixed. We need our, infrastructure maintained. Why is all of our money going to Israel? And he got upset and he was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to make a law where no one can say anything about it. Did you see that?
So what I'm seeing is that Greg Abbott is threatening to reduce funding to San Marcos, which is a city in Texas, because they are rejecting, they're facing state defunding because they wanted a ceasefire in Gaza, essentially. Yeah, I mean, there isn't much to say about Greg Abbott that hasn't already been said. This won't age well for him either. I at this point, this is very much a we need to. It's not a party thing anymore, and I think enough people need to figure that out. I figured that out a long time ago. I don't think both of these parties are the reason we're here. It's time. It's time for us to stop thinking that it won't be us one day, no matter where you sit. Because it is all of us. We are all collectively required to suffer so that men like this can be in power and then tell us what we are allowed to and not allowed to support. That's the antithesis of what they claim that they are, is free speech. And you're free to say what I want you to say.
Right.
Is how they feel about that. What most of those people are talking about when they talk about free speech is freedom from consequences for my beliefs and what I say. And that's not how it works. In fact, the only way that's how it should work is from the government itself, not from everybody else. And they've turned that entire topic and that entire thought process on its head. And it's a lot of the reason why we're in the mess that we're in. It's a big reason for the dehumanization that's going on. And yeah, I think that I don't think there's much more that needs to be said about that. This is very par for the course, and we either have to decide that enough is enough and make it stop, or we're going to watch them kill another 1.7 million people in Gaza.
And that's
countless millions in Congo and Sudan.
I'm just waiting.
Which the UAE also has its hands in, which the US and France also have their hands in. So.
As you listeners have noticed, I make a habit now of trying to put a bonus video clip at the end of our podcast, and I'm going to put a couple of bonus clips at the end, and they're going to be informative. They're going to be informative videos, as you know. coinciding with the topic at hand and things, call to action and things you could possibly do. So when you guys see those video clips, leave in the comment that you saw it or what you think about it, or you put your suggestions in the comment section, because like Rosalie said, collectively something's got to give here. The arrest of judges, the arrest of mayors, the clamping down on blanket laws of people not being able to say what they want to say, as long as it's not the N word. Okay. But something's got to give here. So I'm out of suggestions because people don't like to listen to people that look like me. So what are your last words on this?
This will not be won by one big heroic action. This will not be won quickly. This is going to require a healing from within and a mindset shift. This is a cultural problem. This is a deeply ingrained, entrenched, and trained, a tried and true method for how we see the world, the way that we center ourselves in everything going on. White people needing, and when they say, you want to use the word woke as some negative connotation, but the reality of it is it's being able to put your head up and look at the world that actually surrounds you, and look at it with humanity, and look at it with empathy, and stop thinking that your enemy is the poor person down the street. It's never gonna be. It's going to be the people telling you to be afraid of the poor person down the street, who are materially benefiting from you thinking the poor person is your enemy, and not the people getting rich off your hatred. And at this point, you can call it hatred, you can call it fear, you can call it misunderstanding. I don't agree with their lifestyle. No matter what it is, someone rich is getting richer for you believing it, and it's not you. And it never will be you. That woman raising $600,000 or whatever she raised for saying the N-word is a fluke. And you are grifting each other, because I can guarantee you most of the people who donated to her didn't have the money to be donating to her. It was poor people who were upholding it. And so in the minute that poor people are tired of licking the boot, hoping that one day they'll get to wear it too, then we'll actually get somewhere. And white people specifically, but I would say it's going to be a mindset shift for the entire country.
Because we've all suffered under the same indoctrination. And speaking of woke, you brought it. Woke made a comment here that there's this commenter said can't be overstated how effed up it is that Black folk came up with a word to express people being aware of the oppression of other people, and it's now targeted by far-right governments globally as something evil that must be destroyed. And I just put a reminder there, the attack on woke is technically a direct attack on the black people and the Black community to try to keep them humbled and supposedly in their place. That's why racist white Republicans aggressively started anti-Black hate campaigns shortly after the huge racial justice protests in 2022, because those protests went global. I saw them all over the world, and that worried them. So they decided to take CRT, take woke, take all of those terms that Black people used as consciousness, and those terms have been used for decades, generations in the Black community. But they figured, let's just take and nitpick at these one or two words that are important to them and just make it a bad, slur. And that's how that happened.
So I made a comment on somebody's post the other day, and it was more talking about including women in a conversation when it came to do with a male-dominated field, and how much pushback that people give when women want to be included in that conversation. And what I tell people, they're like, well, I have to make exceptions for people to come in. We can't give people special treatment. You hear with DEI, you hear with CRT, you hear with this woke idea, and the pushback on the concept of wokeness is that it would be giving an unfair advantage or any of those other things. And I said, what actually is happening is involving other people, or having to involve and include other people in a conversation, makes it more complex. Being more complex does not mean it's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're only capable of handling simple things, then just say that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not capable of handling complex things, then just say that. But complex does not mean bad.
Exactly. And then at this point, when I hear the word woke or CRT, I actually hear the N word with the hard R. They accomplished their goal there as well. So they have turned it into, they have bastardized it. And so on that, we will close out and call to action. Will probably be, we might do another podcast before the 14th, but I'm flying out the 14th to Washington for reparations rally with Suda for Solidarity. That's Japanese American group that is fighting for Black American reparations. And whether we get it or not, it's going to be a good experience, because I've never been to Washington, so I'm looking forward to it. And for people that say that there are people that are not fighting for the Black community, there are. I've been a member of their group for the past 4.5 years, and they are awesome. And they are this hardcore, like, we don't care, we're going to go do it anyway. So, I'm excited to go, and I'll record it and everything like that, and post pictures and keep y'all updated. But what are your closing thoughts?
Well, I'm so excited to see that you're going to be traveling and getting to do that. I know this has been a big deal for you, and do everything that you can to help make sure that we can keep sending Sharron to go do amazing things across the country. I think it's really important that we keep getting our voices, and especially Sharron's experience and her background are just, I think, so important to have in these conversations. But you meeting people is the best way to have influence. And so the more that we can get Sharron wheels up and get her traveling, the better, and let her go see some beauty in the world. So go
and
to
your next road trip is to come to get me.
Right. No, I need to come out to Tennessee and then we'll go. No. But yeah, so make sure that you're contributing to the podcast, donate where you can, make sure that we can get you some amazing content and spread our influence.
Thank you, guys. See you on the next one.
You had a harrowing day, an absurd day today. I think a day that's really outraged a lot of people, including myself. Have you thought about taking any legal action in light of what took place today and what happened to you?
Well, we're going through this process now, and obviously I will confer with my lawyers to figure out what's the best pathway forward on this. I think they completely violated my rights. I'm the mayor of the city. I have the right to go anywhere in this city, particularly in places where I think our laws are being violated. I went in a driveway with our healthcare inspectors and our fire inspectors early on, and we've been doing that for the last couple of days. They've been ignoring us. And actually the Congress people who have oversight on this went onto the property and tried to get inside, and they made them wait over an hour, and they never got in. Never. They obviously targeted me. It was more. I wasn't the only one out there. They came directly to me, right? And tried to arrest me. No one else, me. And so I honestly believe, I was targeted there. And, it's interesting to see all these people making these comments on social media, from the government about why I was there. I didn't come down there to protest. I came down there for a press conference with the Congress people. I knew I was going to get in the building with them. I was waiting for them to return from outside of the building to participate in the press conference with them. I was already there earlier that morning. I didn't need to, if I wanted to protest, I could have protested that morning.